And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Do want to thank our friends at Mountain View High School. Awesome day yesterday, promoting our school, securing our future. Do want to remind you, we'll be at the Meridian Technical Charter School. That'll be this Thursday coming up. Brought to you by CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Remember, KIDO Talk Radio is your home for Win Kevin Miller's Cash. So, our cash code one word for today is jewelry. Jewelry, everybody likes jewelry, so type that in at KIDOTalkRadio.com if you're playing along at home. Don't forget to listen at 8:05 today and 3:05 during the Sean Hannity Show for the additional code words. The more words you get, the higher chances that you could win $5,000 on KIDO Talk Radio. That is amazing when you think about it, and we hope that you win. We would love to be a part of that as well. Joining us now to talk a little bit about what's going on in Russia and the fuel that feeds the fire with all things Russia. Jordan McGillis joins us from the Institute for Energy Research. Jordan, good morning.
Good morning to you, Kevin.
We take a look at Russia, and it's kind of quaint, the old days when Mitt Romney, during the debate with Barack Obama, saying that Russia is our enemy. Of course, Russia likes to manipulate things, whether it's allegations of tampering with elections, whether it's threatening to cut off Europe with energy. There's a lot going on in Russia. We don't seem to cover it, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Russians.
Yes, that statement by Romney in the course of that election debate was really viewed as a little bit of a laughingstock. People heard that and they thought he was way out of touch. He was caught up in the Cold War, but it's turned out he's been justified in saying that. What we see today is exactly what you just mentioned, Russia using its energy capacity as a geopolitical tool. And it's been doing that for years. It's become pronounced in the last few with the Ukraine situation, and it's begun to influence our energy debates a little bit here as well.
Well, especially when they threatened to cut off Western Europe back in the day and everything else. Have we ever seen anything like this since, I guess, the Berlin airlift?
We've got a lot of factors there with the Russian energy, but what I think is interesting here, you mentioned the Berlin airlift. We have a similar opportunity now to support these now independent Eastern European countries, Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine, with our own natural gas. We can export that and supply them with what they need in a similar way to the relief we gave to the East Berliners.
Well, speaking of natural gas, why don't we use natural gas? We have so much natural gas compared to everybody else. It seems crazy that we don't use it.
Thankfully, a lot of the country is. It's become the leading source of electricity across most of the land. It's overtaken coal in terms of our leading fuel generator. But New England is the area of the country where we're seeing a real problem with simultaneous reliance on natural gas and an inability to get the gas they need because of a lot of these keep-it-in-the-ground type of programs, which are preventing pipelines from being built and permitted to take the gas to where people need to use it.
Yeah, you would think that, especially in New England, where fuel costs are so high, where people buy their gas or their cords of wood and everything else. It's very primitive, those folks in New England. You would think that would be the first cup of tea for them.
Fuel costs are high, and what's really tragic about it is they are right next door to the Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, where we have just abundant flows of natural gas. That could be powering New England at a low cost, but unfortunately, New England policies, things like the state renewable portfolio standard in Massachusetts, as well as New York's pipeline permitting slowdowns have prevented that Marcellus Shale gas from getting just across those state borders into the New England territories. New England actually, during this recent cold winter, relied a lot on fuel oil, which should be truly concerning people who are concerned about emissions. That's one of the highest emitting options we have. Instead of using the lower emission natural gas, we're using something that's not quite as clean.
Jordan, let's talk a little bit about the West. How do we look as far as natural gas in our reserves?
The West is a lot more open to these sorts of things. You've got a lot of energy producing states out there. There's a lot of focus on state land, and so that's able to get produced. And there's more of a permitting opportunity on the West. One thing we need to see more of is exporting of our fuel from the West Coast, and this will enable us to send the much-needed energy to developing Asian countries, China, and also the already emerged but still fuel-hungry countries of South Korea and Japan. We have an opportunity to export coal from the Powder River Basin to those countries in Asia, and we haven't really capitalized on that yet. So gas is one thing, but coal export is another where we can really begin to see some growth. We are exporting natural gas right now from the Gulf Coast, but we don't have that capacity yet on the West Coast, and that would be something that would be good for us.
What about just the idea of natural gas in our cars? People say that we should be doing that, and yet that hasn't caught on yet.
I think this is a situation where we need to let consumers be in the driver's seat. People don't want to have expensive fuel. They want to have the least expensive fuel they can, and whatever they can agree to use with auto manufacturers, whatever the nexus of that market creates, is where I think we should go. So I don't think there should be government policy necessarily dictating which direction we're moving in terms of what fuel sources are used. We should be getting the government out of it. And if people do want to move towards those things that you mentioned, they should have the opportunity to do so, but on a level playing field that's not weighting the scale one way or the other.
Well, and
that's going to let people... Go ahead.
Sorry, Jordan, pardon the interruption, but you see that sometimes with the electric cars because they get, the government subsidies like Tesla does and everything else, and you're thinking, my goodness gracious, natural gas is so great, and yet you have electric certainly surpassing it. It's tough because, again, as you've said, natural gas is such a cleaner fuel.
And one of the things that people need to realize about electric cars is that depending on what state you live in, that the energy for the electric car is coming from a fossil fuel source most likely, typically natural gas. In some states, coal is the leading fuel used for electricity generation. So we at the Institute for Energy Research like to call them coal cars or natural gas cars in that sense. And that's really what they are. But you're right, you have a lot of incentives there for both the companies to produce the cars like Tesla and then the consumers as well with tax credits. Fortunately, we got rid of the $5,000 tax credit in the recent tax bill for people who are able to afford those cars, and that just gets back to a fairness. What we had before is a situation in which people who were already the most well-off, able to consider an expensive electric vehicle, were then on top of that getting that tax credit. So now we're back to a more level playing field, letting people just decide in the market what the best option is for them without the government weighing the scale.
Well, Jordan, we appreciate it. Any more thoughts on the Russians?
One thing your listeners need to be aware of is the Russians are actively communicating their positions into our energy debate, and that's part of why we're seeing these pipeline slowdowns. When people talk about the 2016 election and the Russian interference there, they also need to be aware there's some of that interference stopping the pipelines here in the U.S.
Well, Jordan, thank you very much. You have a great day, sir.
Thank you.
All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning, our top lead political story.
Have been deceiving the people of Idaho in their attack ads. These lies must end, and they must end now.
Idaho Congressman and governor candidate Raul Labrador is now reacting to new attack ads against him. To be clear, the attack ad is funded by the Idaho First Political Action Committee. The group supports Labrador's opponent, Boise businessman and doctor Tommy Alquist.
When you first saw that commercial, what was your initial reaction?
I just laughed. When I first saw the commercial, I just thought, have they not done their research?
We did our research and fact-checked claims made in the ad. Here's what we found.
In Washington, Labrador has sponsored 0 bills that have become law.
Claim number 1 in the ad is factually incorrect. According to congressional records, during his 7 years in office, Representative Labrador has been a part of more than 20 pieces of legislation that ultimately became law. Most of those have been as a co-sponsor.
Maybe Labrador's record would be better if he actually showed up. But Labrador misses tons of votes, more than twice the average.
The word tons here is subjective. According to the same resource cited in the ad, GovTrack.us, the fact is, since 2011, Labrador has missed 4.7% of all votes. The median number of missed votes for representatives is 2.3%. So, we can confirm that Labrador's missed vote percentage is about twice the average. But Labrador says he missed those votes to be with his family in times of need.
But I have tried to be there for the most important ones. I will never apologize for missing 5% of the votes for my family and for my kids.
When he does vote, Labrador's political grandstanding hurts Idaho, like his vote against millions for Idaho roads and schools.
Labrador did vote against a 2015 program that would provide millions of dollars to schools and roads in rural Idaho. But according to the same Spokesman Review article cited in the ad, Labrador's spokesman said he didn't vote for the measure because it was attached to an unrelated Medicare bill that would have added $141 billion to the $18 trillion of U.S. debt. At the time, Labrador said he wanted a lasting solution, not a 2-year fix. So the claim is correct. Labrador, on one specific occasion, did vote against money for Idaho schools and roads. The advertisement simply leaves out why he voted that way.
Fake news has come to Idaho from Tommy Alquist and from his father's PAC.
There we have it, 580-5436. Want to thank Joe Paris from Channel 7. When we're taking a look at this, your thoughts on this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. When we're talking about the attack ads, Congressman Labrador, Dr. Alquist, I really wish, and I think Joe Paris does a great job, and, all these folks would use their official titles. It's Dr. Alquist, it's Congressman Labrador, it's Lieutenant Governor Little. It just demeans those candidates, in my opinion, when we don't use their official titles. But again, that might be me being pithy. Our time is 6:17, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Tell Congressman Labrador was very upset. You're seeing ads now, negative ads against the lieutenant governor and the congressman. Now you have the lieutenant governor fighting back. This is big-time politics. And people have said to me, Kevin Miller, what do you think? Look, I'm like you. I don't know what to think. We've seen some polls. We've had some people talking. We'll have Steve Yates running for lieutenant governor. He's going to join us at 8:05. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, how do you see this race playing out? And as predicted by yours truly. Now, again, it didn't take really a brain surgeon to make this prediction, but we already have the ads with Butch Otter, the governor, endorsing Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. And you have an ad where it's just Butch at the diner reading about Brad Little, about Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Governor Otter saying that. Is that enough to sway the terms? And I thought that would be it is the last 4 weeks of the campaign. But to me, I'll tell you about that in a minute, but I'd love to hear from you, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Kevin Miller in the morning here. I want to remind you of something really great on KIDOTalkRadio.com, and that is thanks to our friends at Grade Power Learning in Meridian. Grade Power Learning can help your child getting ready for the SAT or SAT. They're actually going to teach me how to blog. We're going to go over some grammar skills, but get this, right now, through the rest of the school year, you can log on to KIDOTalkRadio.com, go to Power Your Education to enter to win a 50-hour custom learning package from Grade Power Learning in Meridian. Now, that can be used for ACT, SAT prep. Maybe your child has an issue with math or science, or like Kevin Miller, grammar and phonics. Here's what you need to do. Write a 100-word essay on why education is important to you, and you could win this package applicable for anything you or your child needs, from study skills, test prep, assignment support to time management, and ACT, SAT prep services. Go to KIDOTalkRadio.com, Power Your Education, and all it takes is time to write that 100-word essay, and we'll have that winner for you coming up. Let's go to the phones talking about the governor's race, the good, the bad, the ugly. R&R, good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, R&R.
Hey, accolades, K. Millie. Let's just start with atypical softball questions. That's just genius when you put those two words together. Here's the first one. I love the term subjective. And we got a human being that voted with Obama. Let me be very clear and succinct with brevity. For a tag team to walk in here in the Intermountain and one endorses the other. Now I'll lay a voice print down real clear. We got a Labrador who is with a Lion Ted Cruz who also endorses another cohort. That's collaboration, and that's my professional opinion. Now, very clear, I wasn't in this state, in the regions, when Obama goes against Romney, but it was okay back then, Kevin, and you remember. You could call a human being known as a Romney, a Mormon, but you couldn't use the term mulatto. Okay, now you got a human being named Romney that's willing to be a governor in an adjoining state. And I just wanted, I got a hairball from hanging out with the likes of, no contempt. We got a Romney that wants to be a governor in an adjoining state, and I endorse him, but I wouldn't go to Utah for anything. I'm going to endorse a man that I watched take communion. That's how I'm certain of my voice. When I'm next to, shoulder to shoulder, Brad Little, I'll say it again, Brad Little and his belief in the sovereign state of Idaho, unequivocal. Next, when we defend our borders, we defend Idaho first. I'm old enough to be young enough to remember this. Tom McCall, governor of the state of Oregon, who once said, Google it, anybody in the sound of my voice, come to Oregon and visit, and then go home. Don't Californicate Oregon. Now we're prepared to Californicate Idaho. And an impact tax is unequivocal. You come to the region and bring your SUVs and bounce off the back of our buddy and our superhero, Kay Millie, and push his bumper. That's my accolade, Kay Millie. Anybody in the sound of your voice, your mama and Mrs. Miller, we all adore you. Keep on keeping on. Living large. Peace out.
Peace out, R&R. Traffic and weather together, 627. All right, let's go to Basil in Boise with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Basil. Senator, we appreciate it.
Good morning, Kevin. You know, I listen to you folks talk about this guy for governor, this guy for election. Many people are concerned about the economy, but I heard something years ago. I don't know to whom I give credit, but it was how not to be poor. 6 rules how not to be poor. Not a guarantee, you understand, but the first thing is finish high school and then continue education if you can. Second, get a job, no matter how menial, and then work your way up. Third, avoid substance abuse, legal or illegal. 4, avoid criminal activity. Nothing's going to break you like lawyer fees, fines, jail time, stuff like that. And then avoid adultery and promiscuity. Nothing is going to hurt you economically than single parenthood, child support, stuff like that. And then finally, spend less than you earn if that's the difference. Now, it's not going to guarantee that you're going to be rich, but boy, does it increase your odds of not being poor. So, I don't know whom to give credit, but it is good advice.
I would agree with you. What do you think about the governor's race?
I don't. If I need a politician, I will hire the best one I can afford.
Okay, who would that be?
I don't know.
Well, Basil, thanks for keeping us company here at KIDO Talk Radio.
I enjoy your program, Kevin. Thank you.
All right, and thanks for the tips. I'm going to take advantage of those.
All right. Bye-bye, my friend.
Bye-bye. God bless. All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I don't know where we were. Was I out and about yesterday? We were talking about building a wall for the folks from California, and then somebody said, oh, that was, they said, well, you should build a wall around Washington and Oregon. I don't know about that, but there is an influx. I do want to thank some folks that have written me about Treasure Valley congestion and the solution. Coming up next, a Western governor, actually a Northwest governor, weighs in on sending troops to the border. Find out whether or not they agree with President Trump when it comes to keeping America safe. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
Yeah, about the time I get used to Larry not being here, he'll be back. As Rayamaya laughs, and I don't blame him. Joining us now, our great friend Tanya J. Powers, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM and 580 AM. Tanya J. Powers talking a little bit about the First Amendment. And who would have ever thought in the year 2018 that it would be such a big story and this term fake news would be running wild? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so here we have this woman who was fired for giving President Trump the finger. She's suing the company, calling it unlawful and un-American.
Yes. And kind of here's a little bit of the backstory. If you don't remember the picture, this is the one that went viral last October when this woman was in Virginia and the president was leaving Trump National Golf Course in Sterling, Virginia in a motorcade. And she was riding her bike. It was on a Saturday. It was on her own time. She was not working that day. And she was photographed giving him the finger as the motorcade drove by. Well, she didn't apparently realize that there were photographers and reporters in the car behind her. So they're kind of going around the left side, and she's doing this, and they got a picture of it. The picture went viral that weekend. And it was even talked about by Jimmy Fallon, I think maybe the following Monday night. Either way, she, shared the picture on Facebook and Twitter after it had already gone viral. I mean, it was all over the place when she apparently put this on hers. And so now, she lost her job. She told her employer, hey, this is a thing, and here's what happened. I just want to give you a heads up. They come back like the next day and say, oh, okay, we are going to fire you. And they say that she didn't adhere to the social media policy on obscenity that she was required to do, that the company had, because she shared the image on social media. And she says that the other reason was that the executives told her they feared blowback from the Trump administration for the picture in the first place. So she is now suing. Her lawyers say that this was, covered under the free speech, protections by Virginia law and the Constitution. So now she's suing because she wants her severance that she said she was promised but she never got, and she wants her legal fees paid.
Yeah, you have to wonder, just where the First Amendment begins and how it impacts people. I've known people that have posted stuff on social media and they've lost their jobs because of it. Right. How omnipresent is it?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's what this whole thing is about. I mean, she says that on her social media profiles there was no mention of who her employer was or anything like that. She says that this was something that she wasn't the one that publicized it first. That this had already gone viral by the time she shared it. I guess at that point she was like, well, it's already out there, that kind of thing. But she says, she just wants her severance pay. She's not asking for, millions or anything like that. But it does raise a good point, like you said, about free speech.
Well, and I guess the difference between a totally private endeavor and a company that has government contracts as well.
Right, which is, again, why she said the executives told her, we got to fire you because we're afraid of what the Trump administration might do in retaliation. And she said that's another reason she's, felt the need to sue over this is because, they were worried about retaliation from the government. She feels that, if that was the motivation, then that was wrong.
Well, she could feel that. And, as a friend of mine said, you can be right, but it still doesn't change things. Not that I'm agreeing one way or the other, just that might just be how things are. I wonder how the courts will receive this. This will be an interesting case to watch.
That's a good question. This is one of those that I'm curious to find out how they're gonna react to this as well.
If it were Judge Judy, you could kind of predict it already.
Probably so.
Tanya J. Powers, good to have you back from Memphis. Thank you as always, ma'am.
Sure, thank you.
Our great friend Tanya J. Powers joining us. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Did you hear about this with the Oregon governor? By the way, Kevin Miller with you, reminding you, Power Your Education. You could enter to win a 50-word or 50-hour custom learning package from Grade Power Learning in Meridian. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com.
Well, Pete, the governor telling us today that this is just a distraction from, quote, the chaos in Washington, D.C. At the same time, the Trump administration saying the situation at the border is at a crisis point. In the latest move over the border, President Trump has officially signed a memorandum to deploy the National Guard to the southern border.
Until we can have a wall and proper security, we're going to be guarding our border with the military. That's a big step.
Data from a Department of Homeland Security study last fall showed that illegal border crossings through 2016 were at their lowest point in nearly 5 decades. But a new Border Patrol statistic shows a 37% spike in attempted crossings last month.
I think, what I would say is the numbers continue to increase. April traditionally is a month in which we see more folks crossing the border without a legal right to do so.
The move by the president isn't sitting well with Oregon Governor Kate Brown.
I will not let our Oregon National Guardsmen and women be used as political pawns.
The governor spoke today in downtown Portland, saying this move is just to distract from the political chaos in Washington, D.C.
It has been chaos, and it has been incompetence, and it leaves us, the states, to clean up this mess. And that's what we have to do every single day. It is unacceptable.
The move to send troops to the border isn't anything new. Both President Obama and Bush sent the National Guard down to help give Border Patrol.
Hey, by the way, did you catch that with this jabroni? President Obama and Bush, not President Obama and President Bush. The subtle bias in the liberal press, nationally and locally. You hear that, though? They never give the conservatives, not even conservatives, Republicans, the title. Just, again, a subtle jab at everything that we hold dear.
Agents some relief. Brown, however, argues this time has been different.
There's been absolutely no planning. There's been absolutely no collaboration with the states. This is just something that the president reeled off to distract from the problems that he's having in Washington, D.C.
Oh, by the way, the problems that the president is having in Washington, D.C., by the way, the job markets came out for March, up 103,000 jobs. 103,000 jobs. That's right. 103K, up 4.1%. Can you believe that? Yeah, that's the problem the president's having. So for those of you that live, in Oregon, I guess Oregon's trying to pave the way to be California light at 580-5436. Here you have the governor of Oregon, and we go into Ontario. Ontario, this is Radio Free America. Put down your weapons. Put down your weapons. Come join us here in the free state of Idaho while you can until we build the wall. However, at 580-5436, what is this? This governor in Oregon, she's going to say no? She's going to tell the president no? That's, again, this goes back to Obama not enforcing federal law. Hank in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning. If Little intends to run an ad with Butch reading the newspaper endorsing him, I'll tell you what, he better not be running it in the Spokane radio net up in Panhandle, Idaho. The governor's popularity was not good in 2014. In fact, he got his worst results from all those counties from Idaho County up north. And if anything, Butch's popularity is even less up there. I mean, their feelings about him are similar to mine up there. And if people are dumb enough to run that ad, I tell you what, it will kill whatever chances. And Brad's totals, by the way, were the worst in the state up there in that same area. But Brad did better than Butch, but his vote totals were low up in that end of the state. Where Brad's advantages are in the first congressional district is in the central part of the state, Valley County, Washington County, Jim County, because of his cattle and sheep connections through there, and the fact that his father, Dave Little, for many years ran the ninth legislative district, which covered those areas. So the family is extremely well known and established up there. Ben Little's problem also will be, I think, bad in Canyon County and Ada County, and again, it's the drag of Butch on Little. Well,
but let's talk about Butch. On one hand, and you and I predicted this, that Butch would come out towards the end, and we see it. And I'll tell you, the ad is not overwhelming. Number one, number two, is Butch Otter, the Governor Otter, with all due respect, a positive or a negative in this race? I think that's a legitimate question. You have people doing internal polls saying the governor is still incredibly popular, and that you have the governor losing Ada and Canyon, Kootenai counties the last time out.
Yeah, I think that's and so Where the governor does relatively better is over there in eastern Idaho. He would probably, if they're going to run an ad like that and run on the governor's coattail, it'd be better on the Salt Lake City network, which covers parts of eastern Idaho, and that nexus up there, and also to a certain extent in Twin Falls and the Magic Valley area. But the problem that Dave Little's got that Butch doesn't have is that I don't think that the LDS vote, I think it's going to be split up to a large degree between Alquist and Labrador.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the battle here between Dr. Alquist and Congressman Labrador. Congressman Labrador calling him out, saying, take down these ads. Dr. Alquist, through a statement from David Johnson, saying, look, the congressman's becoming unhinged. It's a third party. We have no coordination. You've got Dr. Alquist's dad contributing to this organization. So let's delve a little deeper into this feud between the alternative to the lieutenant governor. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that a lot of that, again, comes from a lot of the associates of Alquist down there in Utah. Those people there are not Republicans. They're not conservatives. They're liberals. And a lot of the attack, I think that Alquist is the Trojan horse in this thing. I would underline the word very 3 times with the word suspicious about Alquist. Everything about his past and background suggests that he's not what he's campaigning as. Anybody that follows his career.
Well, you could say that, and again, let me give you the obvious argument. You could say that about President Trump.
Well, to a certain extent, was a bit.
Right. I mean, Ted Cruz is beloved in this state. Donald Trump, people kind of like him.
I did support Ted Cruz in the early part of the thing. I've also been very pleasantly surprised by Trump. But the thing is that I always think that 9 times out of 10 you should be following what the politician's past is. To keep from getting ugly surprises.
Sure.
And I'm also suspicious of the money that Pancrea's getting. I think that Alquist and one of his groups are basically secretly funding Pancrea as a spoiler over there in the 1st Congressional District to take votes away from Labrador.
Well, all right, Hank, I got to run. Let's quickly go to Eric in Cuna. Love the political analysis from our friend Hank at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Eric.
Morning, buddy. Hey, great show. I was going to mention something about Mr. David Hogg and all that stuff. But let me give you my analysis on Tommy Alquist. Okay, he's too connected. He's a doctor, a developer, and now he wants to be a governor. This is my take on him anyway. And I've heard him talk, and kind of reminds me of Obama. He kind of just says everything everybody wants to hear. Okay, Brad Little is, he's Otter Jr. Okay, I'm not, his commercials are so predictable. Okay, Raul Labrador is the realest dude that we should vote for governor. I mean, to be honest with you, I've actually emailed him, 4 or 5 years ago, and he emailed me right back. I answered my questions directly in the email, several questions. I mean, I think he's great. And, he's the realest dude out there. And, okay, he missed some voting or whatever, and he wasn't in D.C. or whatever. That's here nor there. My gut instinct is Raul Labrador. Okay, now, let me get to the gun. Now, think about this one. Okay, the March for Life march, okay, they had to pull permits for that to march in the D.C. 2 weeks before the shooting. Explain that. Now, of course, if you ask these clowns, what are they going to say? They're going to go, well, we were already planning the march for gun control, and we're marching for the Third Reich to happen. I mean, come on. Now, why was the permit 2 weeks before that? It's just
sure.
It's all suspicious. I mean, all these shootings, and it's just the way everything's. Back in the day, we used to really focus on the shooter. All the JFK shooter. We really focused in on the shooter. Now the shooter's like, nah. What's his name again? We don't know anything about these shooters. We don't know a damn thing, and it's ridiculous.
Eric?
But anyway, your show is awesome, Kevin. You just keep doing God's work, buddy.
God bless you, my friend. Take care.
God bless you. That's great.
Bye-bye. All right, coming up next, more of your phone calls on the governor's race and the decision by the Oregon governor to tell the president she's not sending guard troops to guard the border. 580-5436. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. Join me today at 9. Now back to Kevin Miller on KIDO.
KIDO Talk Radio. Now on 107.5 FM and 580 AM.
And let's get Mike in quickly before traffic. Good morning, Mike. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, hi, good morning, Kevin. Hey, I like Russ Fulcher. Now, is he running for governor or what?
He's running for Congress, sir.
Oh, okay. Shoot, he would be a good governor, too, I think. But, hey, okay, he'd be a good congressman.
Anyways, boy, I like that one guy. Well, Labrador, I guess, would be my second choice, for governor. But what's that one guy's name that he wants to make a Israel-Idaho alliance thing?
Steve Pankey.
Hanky
Panky.
Oh, Pankey.
Yep.
Well, you know what? No matter what, someone ought to, if he doesn't win, boy, they ought to put him in some place.
That's a good call, Mike. Thank you. Got to run. Good morning, Dave. I think Jim Duthie is great. We love Jim Duthie. It's just the magic of Larry Beefcake. I'm sorry, I can't get Larry out of my mind. We're just getting started. Did you know KIDO Talk Radio, your home for Fox News on the radio? So proud of that affiliation. Blessed to be a part of your day. We're coming back. More Fox News, more Channel 7, and more of you with me, Kevin Miller. Good morning.